Lassie Farm. This is a short story from the Martian Chronicles called Way in the Middle of the Air. And keep in mind, this was written in 1950. Things were different then, and also keep in mind it wasn't that long ago. And this is supposedly set in June 2003, because, of course, back in 1950, they thought that was, impossibly far into the future. Well, now it's in the past, isn't it? Way in the middle of the air. Did you hear about it? About what? The Negroes. What about them? Them leaving, pulling out, going away. Did you hear that? What do you mean, pulling out? How can they do that? They can, they will, they are. Just a couple? Every single one here in the South. No. Yes. I've got to see that. I don't believe it. Where are they going? Africa? A silence. Mars. You mean the planet Mars? That's right. The men stood up in the hot shade of the hardware porch. Someone quit lighting a pipe. Somebody else spat out into the hot dust of noon. They can't leave. They can't do that. They're doing it anyways. Where'd you hear this? It's everywhere on the radio a minute ago, just come through. Like a series of dusty statues. The men came to life. Samuel Teese, the hardware proprietor, laughed uneasily. I wondered what happened to Silly. I sent him on my bike an hour ago. He ain't come back from Miss Boardman's yet. Do you think that fool just pedaled off to Mars? The men snorted. All I say is he better bring back my bike. I don't take stealing from no one, by God. Listen! The men collided irritably with each other. Turning. Far up the street, the levee seemed to have broken. The black, warm waters descended and engulfed the town. Between the blazing white banks of the town stores, among the tree silences, a black tide flowed. Like a kind of summer molasses, it poured turgidly forth upon the cinnamon, dusty road. It surged slow, and it was men and women and horses and barking dogs, and it was little boys and girls. And from the mouths of the people, partaking of this tide, came the sound of a river, a summer day river going somewhere, murmuring and irrevocable. And in that slow, steady channel of darkness that cut across the white glare of day were touches of alert white, the eyes staring ahead, glancing aside as the river, the long and endless river, took itself from old channels into a new one, from the various and uncountable tributaries, in creeks and brooks of color and motion. The parts of this river had joined, become one current, and flowed on. And brimming the swell were things carried by the river, grandfather clocks chiming, kitchen clocks ticking, caged hens screaming, babies wailing, and swimming among the thickened eddies were mules and cats, and sudden excursions of burst mattress springs floating by, insane stuffing sticking out, and boxes and crates and pictures of dark grandfathers in oak frames, the river flowing it on while the men sat like nervous hounds on the hardware porch, too late to mend the levee, their hands empty, Samuel Teese wouldn't believe it. Why, hell, where'd they get the transportation? How are they going to get to Mars? Rockets, said Grandpa Quartermain. All the damn fool things. Where'd they get rockets? Saved their money and built them. I never heard about it. Seems these Negroes kept it secret. Worked on the rockets all themselves. Don't know where. In Africa, maybe. Could they do that? Demanded Samuel Teese, pacing about the porch. Ain't there a law? It ain't as if they're declaring war, said Grandpa quietly. Where do they get off? God damn it. Working in secret, plotting? Shouted Teese. Schedule is for all this town's Negroes to gather out by Loon Lake. Rockets be there at 1 o'clock. Pick 'em up, take 'em to Mars. Telephone the governor. Call out the militia, cried Teese. They should have given notice. Here comes your woman, Teese. The men turned again as they watched down the hot road in the windless light. First one white woman and then another, all of them with stunned faces, all of them rustling like ancient papers. Some of them were crying, some were stern. All came to find their husbands. They pushed through barroom swing doors, vanishing. They entered cool, quiet grocery stores. They went in at drug shops and garages, and one of them, Miss Clara Teese, came to stand in the dust by the hardware porch, blinking up at her stiff and angry husband as the Black River flowed full behind her. It's Lucinda, Pa. You got to come home. I'm not coming home for no damn darky. She's leaving. What'll I do without her? Fetch for yourself, maybe. I won't get down on my knees to stop her. But she's like a family member, Miss Teese moaned. Don't shout. I won't have you blubbering in public this way about no goddamn... His wife's small sob stopped him. She dabbed at her eyes. I kept telling her, Lucinda, I said, you stay on and I raise your pay and you get 2 nights off a week if you want. But she just looked set. I never seen her so set. And I said, don't you love me, Lucinda? And she said yes, but she had to go because that's the way it was, is all. She cleaned the house and dusted it and put luncheon on the table. And then she went to the parlor door and stood there with 2 bundles, one by each foot, and shook my hand and said, goodbye, Mrs. Teese. And she went out the door. And there was her luncheon on the table, and all of us too upset to even eat it. It's still there now. I know last time I looked it was getting cold. Teese almost struck her. God damn it, Mrs. Teese, you get the hell home. Standing there making a sight of yourself. But Pa... He strode away into the hot dimness of the store. He came out a few seconds later with a silver pistol in his hand. His wife was gone. The river flowed back between the buildings with a rustle and a creak and a constant whispering shuffle. It was a very quiet thing with a great certainty. No laughter, no wildness, just a steady and ceaseless flow. T sat on the edge of his hardwood chair. If one of them so much as laughs, by Christ, I'll kill him. The men waited. The river passed quietly in the dreadful noon. Looks like you're going to have to hoe your own turnips, Grandpa chuckled. I'm not bad at shooting white folks either. Tease didn't look at Grandpa. Grandpa turned his head away and shut up his mouth. Hold on there. Samuel Tease leaped off the porch. He reached up and seized the reins of a horse ridden by a tall Negro man. You, Belter, come down off there. Yes, sir. Belter slid down. Tease looked him over. Now, just what you think you're doing? Well, Mr. Tease, I reckon you think you're going just like that song. What's the words? Way up in the middle of the air. Is that it? Yes, sir. The Negro waited. You trying to sneak out? By God, I'll horsewhip you. All the excitement in it slipped my mind, sir. You recollect you owe me $50, Belter. Yes, sir. It slipped his mind. Tease gave a vicious wink at his men on the hardware porch. Goddamn, mister. You know where you're going? What you're gonna do? No, sir. You're staying here to work out that $50 or my name ain't Samuel W. Tease. He turned again to smile confidently at the men in the shade. Belter looked at the river going along the street, the dark river, flowing and flowing between the shops, the dark river on wheels and horses and dusty shoes, the dark river from which he had been snatched on his journey. He began to shiver. Let me go, Mr. Tease. I'll send your money from up there, I promise. Listen, Belter. Tease grasped the man's suspenders like two harp strings, playing them now and again contemptuously, snorting at the sky, pointing one bony finger straight at God. Belter, you know anything about what's up there? What they tells me. What they tells him? Christ, hear that? What they tells him. He swung the man's weight by his suspenders, idly, ever so casual, flicking a finger in his face. Belter, you fly up like a 4th of July rocket and bang! There you are, cinders spread all over space. Them crackpot scientists, they don't know nothing. They kill you all off. I don't care. Well, glad to hear that, because you know what's on that planet Mars? There's monsters with big raw eyes like mushrooms. You seen them pictures on those future magazines you buy at the drugstore for a dime, ain't you? Well, them monsters jump up and suck marrow from your bones. I don't care at all. Don't care. Belter watched the parade slide by, leaving him. Sweat lay on his dark brow. He seemed about to collapse. And it's cold up there, no air. You fall down, jerk like a fish, gasping, dying, strangling and dying. You like that? Lots of things I don't like, sir. Please, sir, let me go. I'm late. I'll let you go when I'm ready to let you go. We'll just talk here polite until I say you can leave, and you know it damn well. You want to travel, do you? Well, Mr. Way up in the middle of the air, you get the hell home and work out that $50 you owe me. Take you 2 months to do that. But if I work it out, I'll miss the rocket, sir. Ain't that a shame now? Tease tried to look sad. I'll give you my horse, sir. Horse ain't legal tender. You don't move until I get my money. Tease laughed inside. He felt very warm and good. A small crowd of dark people had gathered to hear all this. Now, as Belter stood, head down, trembling, an old man stepped forward. Mister? Tease flashed him a quick look. Well, how much this man owe you, mister? None of your damn business. The old man looked at Belter. How much, son? $50. The old man put out his black hands at the people around him. There's 25 of you. Each give $2. Quick now. There's no time for argument. Here now, cried Tease, stiffening up, tall, tall. The money appeared. The old man fingered it into his hat and gave the hat to Belter. Son, he said, you ain't missing no rocket. Belter smiled into the hat. No, sir, I guess I ain't. Tease shouted, you give that money back to them. Belter bowed respectfully, handing the money over, and when Tease would not touch it, he set it down in the dust at Tease's feet. There's your money, sir, he said. Thank you kindly. Smiling, he gained the saddle of his horse and whipped his horse along, thanking the old man who rode with him now until they were out of sight and hearing. Son of a bitch, whispered Tease, staring blind at the sun. Son of a bitch. Pick up the money, Samuel, someone said from the porch. It was happening all along the way. Little white boys, barefoot, dashed up with the news. Them that has helps them that hasn't. And that way they all get free. Seen a rich man give a poor man $200, pay off someone. Seen someone else give someone else $10, $5, 16, lots of that all over, everybody. The white men sat with sour water in their mouths. Their eyes were almost puffed shut as if they'd been struck in their faces by wind and sand and heat. And we'll leave it there for now. Ray Bradbury's story from the Martian Chronicles.